Rain sounded against the glass walls as the file hit the floor. You lied to me. His voice was low, controlled, but his hand wasn't. It trembled just slightly at his side, the only sign that something inside him had cracked. She stood frozen across the room, soaked from the storm outside, her chest rising too fast. Her fingers curled into fists like she was holding herself together. Say something, he said, sharper now. Tell me I'm wrong. Her lips parted. Nothing came out. The silence answered him. His jaw tightened. From the beginning. Was any of it real? A tear slipped down her cheek. I was sent to destroy you. The words landed like a gunshot for a moment. Neither of them moved. Then he let out a hollow, almost disbelieving laugh, stepping back like she had physically struck him. Of course you were. He looked at her differently now. Not with anger, not even with hate, with nothing, and somehow that hurt more. 3 months earlier, the first thing he noticed about her was that she didn't look at him the way everyone else did. No fear, no desperation, no quiet attempt to impress, just focus. She stood across the conference table, dressed in a clean, simple outfit, her dark skin glowing softly under the office lights, her posture straight but relaxed. While the other executives shifted nervously under his gaze, she met it for exactly 1 second, then returned to her notes like he wasn't the most powerful man in the room. Interesting. Your name? He asked. She didn't hesitate. Precious. Her voice was calm, clear, with a soft African accent that lingered just enough to be noticeable, but not enough to distract. And you're the translator assigned to this deal? Yes. No extra words. No unnecessary politeness. He studied her for a second longer than necessary, then leaned back slightly. Let's begin. The meeting started. Investors spoke. Numbers were thrown across the table. Proposals layered over proposals. But what caught his attention wasn't the deal. It was her. She didn't just translate words, she translated intent. When one of the foreign partners spoke too quickly, she didn't simply repeat what he said. She adjusted the tone, clarified the meaning, sharpened the message. At one point, she paused mid-translation. That's not what he means, she said quietly. Every head turned, the room stiffened, the foreign investor frowned. Excuse me. She didn't flinch. You said the timeline is flexible, but your tone implies the opposite. You're trying to pressure them into a faster agreement. Silence, then slowly. The man across the table smiled. Sharp, the billionaire's eyes narrowed slightly. She wasn't just good, she was dangerous. After the meeting, as the others filed out, he remained seated. Stay, she did. The door closed behind the last executive, leaving them alone in the quiet room. You corrected a client, he said. Yes. Why? Because he was trying to manipulate the negotiation. And you think that's your job? I think my job is to make sure you understand exactly what's being said. No hesitation, no apology. He leaned forward slightly, resting his arms on the table. And if that costs the deal, then it wasn't a good deal to begin with. A pause, then, unexpectedly, he smiled, just a little. You're different. She didn't respond, but inside, something shifted that night. Long after the building had emptied, she sat alone in her apartment, staring at her phone. The message blinked on the screen. Status? Her fingers hovered for a moment before she typed back. I'm in. 3 dots appeared instantly. Good. Gain his trust. We move soon. Her grip tightened slightly around the phone. She glanced at the city lights outside her window, then closed her eyes for just a second. Understood. The days that followed blurred into a pattern. Meetings, travel, late nights. He didn't trust easily, but once he started to, it was absolute. And that was the problem. She was good at what she did. She knew how to read people, how to adapt, how to become exactly what was needed. But with him, it wasn't an act anymore. You're overworking, she said one evening, setting a file down in front of him. He didn't look up. That's not your concern. It becomes my concern when you start making mistakes. That got his attention. He looked up slowly. Mistakes? She held his gaze. You missed a clause in the last contract review. That's not like you. Silence stretched between them. Then, instead of getting angry, he leaned back in his chair, studying her. You're observant. It's my job. No, he said quietly. It's more than that. For a moment, something unspoken passed between them. Then he looked away. Sit, he said. She hesitated for half a second, then sat across from him. Why this job? He asked. The question caught her off guard. Excuse me. You're overqualified to just translate. You analyze, you predict, you challenge. His eyes locked onto hers again. So why this? Because I was sent here, because you're a target, because I'm supposed to destroy everything you've built. She swallowed those words. I like understanding people, she said instead. A partial truth. He watched her for a long moment, as if trying to decide whether to believe her. Then, slowly, he nodded. Stay late tonight, he said. She blinked. For work? For dinner. Her heart skipped just once. All right. That was how it started. Not with a confession. Not with a grand moment. Just quiet dinners in an empty office. Conversations that stretched longer than they should have. And a growing sense that something was shifting in ways neither of them had planned. And every night, when she returned home, her phone would light up, report, and every night, she would type. He trusts me more now. What she didn't type was, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. One evening, as they sat across from each other, the city glowing beneath them, he spoke without looking at her. I don't like people. She raised an eyebrow slightly. That's obvious. A faint smirk touched his lips. They lie. They take. They pretend to be something they're not. Her chest tightened. And you? She asked quietly. I don't pretend, he said. That's why I don't trust easily. Silence settled between them. Then his voice dropped slightly. But you? He finally looked at her. You're honest. The words hit harder than they should have. She looked away first. And for the first time since this began, Precious felt like the one losing control. Later that night, her phone vibrated again. She didn't pick it up immediately. It buzzed a second time, then a third. Finally, she grabbed it. You're getting too comfortable. Her expression hardened slightly. Stay focused. We're close. Her fingers hovered over the screen, then slowly, she typed, I know what I'm doing. But as she sent the message, her chest tightened in a way she couldn't explain, because for the first time, she wasn't sure that was true. The shift didn't happen all at once. It crept in quiet, subtle, dangerous, and by the time either of them noticed, it was already too late. You're distracted. His voice cut through the silence of the car. Precious turned slightly, pulling her eyes away from the window. I'm not. You translated the last sentence wrong, she frowned. No, I didn't. You softened it, he said calmly. He was being aggressive. You made it sound neutral. A pause, then she exhaled lightly. I was trying to keep the meeting from escalating. I don't need you to manage emotions, he replied. I need accuracy. Her jaw tightened just slightly. Sometimes accuracy isn't just about words. That caught his attention. He turned his head, studying her again, that same look he always gave when he felt there was more beneath the surface. Explain. She hesitated, not because she didn't have an answer, but because she knew she was stepping out of line, but she did it anyway. If I translated his tone exactly, the deal could have collapsed. You would have reacted. He would have pushed harder. Everyone loses. Silence filled the car. The driver kept his eyes forward, pretending not to hear anything. And you think you understand that balance? He asked. I know people, she said quietly. A long pause, then he leaned back slightly, eyes still on her. Careful, he said. That confidence can get you into trouble. She held his gaze. Or it can save you from it. For a second, just a second, something almost like admiration flickered in his eyes. Then it was gone. That night, she didn't send the report immediately. She sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the phone in her hand. Her reflection in the mirror looked different somehow. Tired, conflicted. The phone buzzed. Update. She didn't respond. Another message came in. We don't wait for you. Her fingers tightened around the device. Finally, she typed. He's trusting me more than expected. A pause. Then, good. It's time to move forward. Her stomach tightened. Next phase. Access his private files. We need everything. She froze. Everything. Not just surface-level information. Not just what she could observe in meetings. They wanted his core. His secrets. His vulnerabilities. Her chest rose slowly as she inhaled. Understood. But her hand didn't feel steady when she put the phone down. The next few days were different. Not on the surface, everything looked the same, but underneath, the pressure was building. You're coming with me. She looked up. Where? Private meeting. No assistants. Just you. Her heartbeat picked up slightly. Private meant closer access. Closer access meant opportunity, and opportunity meant crossing a line she couldn't Uncross all right, she said. The meeting was held in a quiet, high-end restaurant, far from the main business district, low lights, minimal noise, privacy.perfect.as. They sat across from their client. The conversation flowed smoothly. But this time, she wasn't just listening. She was watching, analyzing, calculating every word, every reaction, every small detail that could be useful later. You're quiet tonight, he said suddenly, his eyes shifting to her. I'm working, she replied. A faint smirk touched his lips. You're always working, the client laughed lightly. She's very dedicated. She is, he said. Something in his tone made her glance at him. There was something different there, not just approval, something softer. She looked away quickly after the meeting. As they stepped outside, the night air cool against their skin, he spoke again. You handled that well. Thank you. A pause. Then walk with me. She hesitated for half a second, then nodded. They walked in silence at first, the city lights reflecting off the pavement, the distant hum of traffic filling the quiet. You're not like the others, he said suddenly. She glanced at him. You've said that before, and I meant it. His voice was quieter now, less guarded. They either want something from me, or they're afraid of me, and I'm neither. She asked. He stopped walking. Oh, did she? For a moment. Neither of them spoke. Then he stepped slightly closer. No, he said. You're not. Her breath caught just slightly. You see me clearly, he continued. And you don't try to manipulate that. The words hit harder than anything he'd said before, because they weren't true. And she knew it. You're wrong, she said quietly, his brow furrowed slightly. Am I? She forced herself to hold his gaze. Yes. Something flickered in his expression, not anger, curiosity. But before he could respond, her phone vibrated in her pocket. The moment broke. I should go, she said quickly. He didn't stop her. But as she walked away, she could feel his eyes on her. And for the first time she hated it that night. The message came immediately. You had an opportunity. Her chest tightened. Why didn't you take it? Her fingers hovered over the screen. I need more time. The reply came faster than expected. You don't have more time. Her jaw clenched. You're getting close to him. Don't forget why you're there. Her breathing slowed slightly. Then she typed. I haven't forgotten. But even as she sent it, she knew that wasn't entirely true anymore. Days later, the moment came. Unplanned, unexpected, dangerous. She was in his office late, organizing documents, reviewing files, preparing for the next day. He wasn't supposed to be there. But then I thought you left. Her heart jumped. She turned quickly. He stood by the door. Jacket off, sleeves rolled slightly, his expression unreadable. I was finishing up. He walked further into the room, his presence immediately shifting the air. You don't have to stay this late, he said. I wanted to. A pause. Then he stopped right in front of her desk. Why? The question was simple, but it carried weight. She opened her mouth, then closed it again, because she didn't have a safe answer. I like being useful, she said. Finally, his eyes searched hers. You're more than that. The words landed softly, but they shook something inside her. Silence stretched between them. Then, slowly, he reached past her. Her breath caught. His hand brushed against hers just barely as he picked up a file from the desk. The contact was brief, but it was enough. They both felt it. He didn't move away immediately, neither did she. And in that moment, everything shifted. But that was also the moment everything started to fall apart, because later that night she finally did it. She accessed his private system. The screen glowed in the darkness of his office. Her fingers moved quickly, efficiently, pulling files, copying data, extracting everything they had asked for. Her heart pounded with every second. This was the point of no return, and she knew it. But she didn't stop. Minutes later, it was done. She stared at the screen. Everything she had taken. Everything she had just destroyed. Her phone vibrated. Did you get it? She didn't respond immediately. Her reflection stared back at her from the dark screen. Then slowly she typed. Yes. And somewhere deep inside, something broke. She didn't know it yet, but he was already starting to suspect. The first sign was small, too small for anyone else to notice, but he noticed everything. You've been in my office after hours. It wasn't a question. Precious froze for half a second before turning to face him. I stay late sometimes. You know that. His eyes didn't leave hers. I know you stay late. I didn't say that was the problem. Her pulse quickened. Then what is? A pause. Then he stepped closer, not aggressively, not emotionally, just deliberately. Things have been moved, he said. Files accessed. Systems opened. Her throat tightened. Are you accusing me of something? She asked, her voice steady in a way that surprised even her. I'm asking you, he replied calmly. If there's something I should. No. Silence stretched between them. This was the moment, the one where everything could collapse. She held his gaze. No, she said. It was the cleanest lie she had ever told. His expression didn't change, but something behind his eyes did. A door closing. All right, he said quietly, and just like that, trust cracked. The next few days were colder, not obvious, not dramatic, but different. He spoke to her less, watched her more. His tone was still professional, but the softness was gone. You can leave early today, he said without looking at her. I don't need to, she replied. I didn't ask what you need, he said. I told you. The words were sharp. Precious nodded slowly. Understood, but she didn't leave, and he noticed. Of course, he did. You don't follow instructions well, he said later, glancing at her from across the room. I follow the ones that make sense. That earned her a look, one that almost resembled the old tension between them, almost. But it faded quickly that night. Her phone buzzed again. The data is clean. No praise. No emotion, just confirmation. We move forward tomorrow. Her stomach tightened. What does that mean? A pause. Then you've done your part. Stay out of the rest. Her brows furrowed. Stay out? That wasn't part of the plan. What are you planning? No response. Her grip tightened around the phone. Something wasn't right. The next morning, everything went wrong. The news broke fast. Faster than she expected. Faster than anyone could control. Massive leak exposes internal dealings of top Korean corporation. Confidential documents released. Speculations of fraud, hidden agreements, and internal corruption. Her heart dropped. This wasn't what she signed up for. This wasn't targeted. This was destruction. She rushed into the office. The atmosphere already tense, chaotic. Voices overlapped. Phones rang endlessly, and in the middle of it all he stood still, completely still, watching the screens, processing. Sir, we need a statement, sir. Investors are pulling back, sir. This is escalating enough. One word, and silence fell. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't panic, but the air shifted instantly. Get me a full breakdown, he said calmly. Now. His eyes moved through the room, then landed on her, and stayed there for a second too long. Precious felt her chest tighten, because in that look there was no confusion anymore. He knew, not everything, but enough. She stepped back slowly, and for the first time she felt afraid, not of him, but of what she had set in motion that night. She didn't go home. She couldn't. Instead, she went somewhere else, a quiet location, hidden, the meeting point. You went too far. Her voice was sharp the moment she walked in. The man standing in the shadows didn't move. We did what was necessary. This wasn't the plan, she snapped. You said we were targeting specific information, not destroying everything. A low chuckle. You were useful, Precious. But don't mistake that for control. Her jaw tightened. You're going to ruin him. No, the man said calmly. We already did. Silence. Then you lied to me. A pause, then he stepped forward slightly. Just enough for his face to be partially visible. We told you what you needed to hear. Her chest rose sharply. And now? She asked. Now you step aside. Her hands curled into fists. No, the word came out before she could stop it. The man tilted his head slightly. No, I'm not letting this happen. A quiet laugh filled the room. You don't get to decide that. She stepped forward. I gave you access. I gave you everything. This wasn't the deal. And yet, he said smoothly, here we are. Her breathing slowed, her mind racing, calculating. Then who are you working for? She asked, a pause, then a small smile. You were smarter than I thought. Her eyes narrowed. Answer me. He studied her for a moment, then, finally, someone who wants him erased. Her heart dropped, not just weakened, erased. That meant everything. His company, his reputation, his life. Precious turned without another word. Where are you going? He called after her. She didn't stop to fix what I broke back at the office. The damage was already spreading, investors pulling out, media, pressure rising, everything collapsing exactly the way they wanted. She found him alone. Of course, he was alone. He always was. You shouldn't be here. His voice was calm, too. Calm. She stepped forward. You're in danger. A faint, bitter smile touched his lips. I'm aware. No, she said, her voice tightening. You don't understand. This isn't just about the leak. They're planning something bigger. He looked at her then. Really looked. And now you want to help me? The words cut. I didn't know it would go this far. That doesn't make it better. I know, she said quickly. I know it doesn't. But you need to listen to me. Why? The single word stopped her. Why should I listen to anything you say? Silence. Her chest tightened. Because I'm the reason this is happening, she said. Quietly, the admission hung in the air. Raw. Heavy. And I'm trying to fix it. His eyes didn't soften. Not even a little. Fix it? He repeated. You think this is something you can fix? I have information, she said. About who's behind it. About what they're planning next. A long pause. He studied her, weighing, measuring, then finally talk. Relief hit her. That she didn't show it. Your competitor. The one who lost the last major deal. They're behind this. But they're not alone. His expression sharpened slightly. They're working with someone inside your network. That got his attention. Who? I don't know yet, she admitted. But I can find out. And why would you do that? He asked quietly. She held his gaze. Because I was wrong. Silence. Then. And because I don't want to be the reason you lose everything. For the first time something shifted. Not forgiveness. Not trust. But consideration. That's not enough, he said. I know. Another pause. Then she took a breath. I'm not asking you to trust me, she said. I'm asking you to let me prove it. He looked at her for a long moment, then finally fine. The word was quiet, controlled, but it changed everything. You help me stop this, he continued. And then you disappear? Her heart dropped. Slightly, but she nodded. Okay. No argument. No hesitation, because she knew she deserved that. The next hours were tense, focused. They worked together, but not like before. No softness, no closeness, just strategy, information. War. She traced contacts, followed leads, connected patterns, and slowly the truth came together. You were right, she said finally, looking up from the screen. There's someone inside your company feeding them information. His jaw tightened. Who? She turned the screen toward him. His expression darkened instantly. I trusted him. The words were quiet, but heavy. Not anymore, she said. He didn't respond, but his eyes hardened. That night, everything came to a head. The confrontation, the exposure, the takedown. It wasn't clean. It wasn't easy. But it worked. By the time it was over, the threat was gone. The truth was out, and the damage was contained, barely. Silence filled the room as everything settled. Precious stood there, her chest rising slowly, exhaustion finally catching up to her. It's done, she said quietly. He didn't respond immediately. He just stood there, looking at her. Not with anger, not with warmth, something in between, unresolved. Finally, he spoke. You should go. The words were expected, but they still hit. She nodded slowly. Yeah, she turned, took a step, then Precious. She stopped, but didn't turn immediately. Then slowly she looked back. His expression was calm, controlled, but not empty like before. Trust isn't something you rebuild overnight, he said. Her chest tightened. I know. A pause. Then, but this time. His voice lowered slightly. Don't lie to me. Silence. Then, she nodded. I won't. And this time she meant it. She walked away, not knowing what would come next, not knowing if there would be another chance, but knowing one thing for sure: she didn't destroy him. Not completely. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough to start again.